Hello, everyone. This is Jill Aitoro with SC Media and Cyber Risk Alliance. And I want to thank you for joining us for this interview for our Women in IT Security Honors. I'm so excited to be joined today by Zinet Kemal. She is the Cloud Security Engineer at Best Buy, and she is also among our honorees in the category of Advocate. So first and foremost, Zinet, I want to say congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate it and really honored.
Oh, of course. Well deserved. And as it's worth noting, we honor women as advocates because not only of what they contribute to and have demonstrated to enable women to succeed, but really to kind of better educate the market about cybersecurity, utilizing their skills and their expertise to better inform across the board. So certainly, we look at and want to recognize work to support diversity, but also work to enable awareness in terms of our market as well. So now I know you actually moved to the US, I guess it was just about 9 years ago. Is that right?
Yep, that sounds about right. I think time flies really. I mean, it sounds for me just 9 days, I guess, because so many things happen in between and you just lose track of time, especially since COVID, right? So yeah, 9 years since I moved here. I think it was January of 2013 that we came to Minnesota for the first time and the snow in Minnesota from Ethiopia, which we've never seen snow before. So that was a total transformation, I guess.
Wow, I do have to ask, because I don't think I realized it was Minnesota that you are. What made you choose Minnesota? Work or?
Because we didn't know anybody. I mean, we got a diversity lottery visa and we got it. That was the only place that we know someone who would be welcoming us. And it happens to be my husband's older high school friend that they got connected on Facebook when we got that opportunity. And at that time, we had our 3-year-old son. He's 12 now. So we reached out to her and she's the one who welcomed us. So that was the only reason, because a lot of people ask us, like, why Minnesota of all the states, right? And a lot of communities, like immigrant communities, refugees from Somalia, from Ethiopia, live in Minnesota. We like it, except the winter, but that was the only reason,
Yeah, winter's always tough, but I give credit to Minnesota, apparently a very welcoming community, it sounds like. So that's great. Good to know and good to hear. So tell me a little about that transition, because it's my understanding you actually were in the legal profession in Ethiopia. So first, to kick it off, maybe let's start a little more general. You came here, as a woman, immigrated to the United States. In terms of the professional response you got, what was it like? Was it encouraging? Was it a little frustrating? Let me know how that went first.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I was in the legal profession before I moved here from Ethiopia. So when we moved here, we not only had our 3-year-old, but I was also 7 months pregnant with the second one. So you can imagine that, like, a whole transition. Okay, let's move and find a better opportunity for our growing family to a place that we don't know, right? To the unknown. And I didn't even try to look for a job at that point, because I was we're trying to get settled. But I've always wanted to transition into a field that I really wanted. I've always been to become in technology spaces. I've always been fascinated, but I did not have the access back home. It wasn't like that. So I decided I'm gonna, go back to school and restart the whole thing, right? So I did not have any math background, computing, programming, any of those things. But as soon as I had my daughter, I went back to a community college and signed up for a computer programming program, associate degree program. So I completed that 2 years, just moving fast, a lot of challenges within that, but I completed that 2 years later, and then transitioned to a 4-year degree program to do my computer science degree. And that's how I came to discover cybersecurity towards the end of that senior year through a cyber defense competition. And that's how I came, to get introduced to the field. Wanted to explore further, yeah.
Yeah, good for you for, pursuing that under the circumstances. You had a lot on your plate at the time. Once you finished school or towards, as you were completing it, I know we hear a lot about there being a skills gap and there being a lot of job opportunities. Did you feel that? Did you feel like you had a lot of opportunities, or was it challenging to get into the workforce?
Yeah, my mentality was at that point, it was just getting myself ready, getting the skills, not focused, because I wasn't part of that conversation, because I wasn't much involved on LinkedIn. I did not know about the state of the industry, I guess. So, and by the time I graduated 2018, I've already known that I wanted to be in cybersecurity, even though I graduated in computer science. So that exposure during senior year, me, getting participated, representing the university in that cyber defense competition, and the fact that, from the state, we got the third place. So that has kind of given me the exposure. So I thought I was just focusing on myself. So after then, I just completed the degree program. I pursued a number of security certifications. And at that time, I had my third child, but I was also doing an internship at a local government. So I wanted to find an opportunity where I can use that internship to get a foot in the door in a cybersecurity space. So my first role is in IT auditing at a local government. So I think I wasn't aware of that, but I am aware now that there is this side of things where we need more people by this year. We're going to have this much million spaces that we need to fill. But then at the same time, we're hearing people with master's degrees and certifications having a hard time breaking into the industry. And it's really a huge gap that we're not, it's either the employers are not tapping into the, different parts of the talent that they're supposed to be getting. They're not tapping diverse talent. There are a lot of ways that could be solved instead of, but I do see those conversations now versus then.
Yeah, it is fascinating because this is a silly comparison, but we're hiring for journalists right now. And I'm getting a lot of resumes of people that have incredible cybersecurity experience as practitioners. And I'm thinking to myself, there are so many job opportunities supposedly out there, but I still think people sometimes struggle to actually find those opportunities. And I'm not sure exactly why that is. But so now, interestingly, I know you are in cloud security, which is hugely important, hugely relevant at this point in time. And you're at Best Buy. So what led you there and into your current role?
Yeah, so after my first role working as an IT auditor at local government, I was getting myself acquainted with, security because we were doing cybersecurity audits. I then transitioned to a state government doing information security work, a lot of AppSec, application security, vulnerability management, but then, LinkedIn, I think I started having presence, I guess, on LinkedIn since the beginning of the pandemic. More specifically, I've been on it before, but more passive. I kind of treated that, as a space where you update your things in progress versus, it's a networking platform. That's how I see it. So yeah. I think I kind of knew where I wanted to go. I knew cloud is huge. A lot of organizations are migrating towards that. Security is also a huge thing. So combining that, I was kind of preparing myself for that. I was taking certifications, AWS Cloud Practitioner, and then there was a CCSK from Cloud Security Alliance. So as I was doing it, I wasn't ready for making the transition, but I guess I got kind of tapped in from Best Buy to join the team, which I'm glad I did. It's almost 11 months now since I did. And it's been great. It's a huge learning curve and exploring it's a Fortune 500 organization, learning and exploring those things in a remote environment because my role is completely remote too, even though, the headquarters is located here in Minnesota. But it's been great. It's been a huge learning and understanding the environment and the complexities of how we're securing cloud, especially when you have presence in 3 of the cloud service providers, Azure, Google Cloud, and then AWS. voice mainly. So it's been interesting. And I would say that, you know, if you have a goal and you're pursuing that and preparing yourself, sometimes you may feel like you're not ready, because I try to push it away. Like, I'm in a great team, I'm good, I don't need that. I try to push it away for quite some time. And I think it's coming from self-imposed fear of maybe we're not ready. And I think we do that a lot, especially as women. I think I do that. So sometimes you're ready, even though you don't think that you are. So I think that's what happened, and I'm glad I did. Yeah.
That's awesome. So something else that you've accomplished, which under the circumstances of all you've had on your plate, I don't know how you did it. Plus, I believe 4 kids at this point in time, but you wrote some children's books tied to cybersecurity. So tell me about that.
Yes, I did. So I do have 4 kids. You know, between the ages of 12 and 2-year-old, 2 boys and 2 girls. But I also do a grad school. I'm 3 courses away from completing the program, which began back in 2019. But yeah, in the midst of the pandemic, you know, while all 3 kids in 3 different classes, the older 3 were at home, and the 4th one was, I was just getting out of the maternity leave. It's not because I had a lot of time, it was just a necessity thing that I used to get questions from my kids that about their hair type or the headscarf they're wearing, their hijab. So that was my first, and that's how my first book came about. It was inspired by my own kids and their questions. So I've never written anything before except the homework, but I decided to teach myself how to do self-publish a book. And I taught myself how to do that, and published in 2021 my first children's book titled Proud in Her Hijab. It was meant to empower and uplift girls who choose the headscarf, the hijab, to be proud of themselves and who they are, and to embrace their own identities, and also to create awareness, right, for people. Because in the story, the girl was bullied because they didn't know what it is. And I do believe that a lot of things happen, the negative things, the stereotypes happen because of not knowing. We tend to make assumptions. And I think it's meant to solve a problem and answer questions for a lot of families, not only for myself and my kids. And I think that has been successful. It became Amazon #1 bestseller when it got launched, and won an award. And I got encouraged by that. And, you never run out of inspiration when you have 4 kids. And during the pandemic, again, my kids, when they were gaming at home and online, I think on more than one occasion, 2 of my kids got hacked when doing that. And that sparked my interest. We are very quick to give them these gadgets and tools and tablets and connect them to the internet. And once you get connected to the internet, you're never safe, especially for kids, right? Yes. So I thought maybe it's time to write the second book. And all of my kids are the characters, and the names used in the books, in both of the books, are my actual kid's name. And the patients actually look like them. My books are back there in the background on the shelf.
And you had to find an illustrator, I guess, right?
I did too, and she's over Russia, so you can imagine, like, the whole journey of self-publishing is that you write the story, but then you have to coordinate a lot of things. There is professional editors involved, and illustrators, designers, formatters, and then how to get it out there, right? So how to make it available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Now it's available everywhere. So they're both published 6 months apart. And now thinking back, like, how did I do it? It's so hard because especially with children's book, they seem like 36 pages, right? Both of them. But a lot of things go, because you need to make sure that the language fits that age group, because it was written for ages 6 to 13. And then I have to, like, my kids were the sounding board. Like, what does this sound like? Do you think a kid at this age would say this? And my kids are very honest and very involved in the process too. So they would say, like, this sounds cringe. Like, that's don't say that. Nobody says that. That's cringe. And I'm like, okay, I'll fix it. And then I'll make them read it. And they were like, my oldest was the one who's like the first line of editor, right? And then he would give me that confidence. He said, do you think this would be a good book? And he would say, yeah, I think every night, families would be picking up and reading it every night. And like, that gives you the confidence that, like, it's approved by kid, it's kid approved.
Yes,
And I fixed it through the kids too, like, because they're in different ages. And I do that with the 8-year-old and the 7-year-old, and then they're very much involved in the process. And they check, like, is the illustrations back, and why does this look like not me? So they were pretty much involved. But the message of the second book, especially, is to teach kids the importance of online safety, password security, multi-factor authentication is mentioned, and how to not, share your personal information, your school name and your password, like never ever share that. That's the main. And the second part of it is a mom in the story who looked like me is working in cybersecurity, and the main thing is to spark interest in young readers to be, to consider cybersecurity as their career option. Like, it's cool. It's something that is cool to do. And my mom did it, and she's, protecting networks and, all of those conversations. I think if we nurture that at the young age, and building that security mindset can be very, very instrumental, I think, in building that, the racial and the gender gap that we're seeing within the industry. And at the same time, personally, how do we keep ourselves protected? Because a lot of the things they don't know. I don't think it's just that it's not that hard, but it's just that we don't think about it as much.
We don't think about it. I have two funny stories about it. My son, for one thing, got a cell phone for the first time. Okay. And he said, thank goodness, came and showed me and said, who's this? And it was the typical, he got a text from a random saying, hi there, or something along those lines, where the next one is going to be, well, what's your address, or whatever it may be. And then my daughter, which is even a funnier story, we got her Greenlight, which is this sort of banking app for kids to help them manage money. And she was so excited to get it. And then I got a message from her friend's mom that said, fair warning, she just sent her entire account number, login information, and password to my daughter. She's like, look what I got. Here's all my info. I was like, oh no. So you just don't think about it. And I was like, it didn't occur to me to say to my daughter, we did say, don't share this card or this, but this is very sensitive. You can't, even with your friends. So it's such a relevant.
Very, like, the kids really connected with it, because the game that was mentioned in the book is something that everyone plays, like everyone, right? Especially during the pandemic, and even now in the summer, like everyone, the neighbors, the cousins, the school kids. Every time I go for author visits at schools or, places, every time I mention, like, does anybody play online games? Everybody raises their hand, and it's so cool. So I think it's important to bring up something to get their attention before you tell them limit your screen time, because that's one of the messages, right? Because they could be sitting on that thing for 8 hours.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the same goes, like, I think it's adults too, like, we're you need to have some self-discipline, control, not to keep scrolling. And I think those are some of the messages, and I think it's been successful so far. It's reaching more kids, and I'm being, getting invites to be share it with the children in the community, and then that has been really good, especially since both were published during the pandemic time. This one came out in February, but I wasn't getting that community, read aloud, all of those things. But now this summer, I've been fortunate to do that, and it's been really rewarding.
That's great. And it's so encouraging to hear the success. That's wonderful, and that folks are taking notice. I will be picking it up. I think there'd be something clearly based on my stories that my kids should probably give it a read. But that's wonderful. We're unfortunately out of time, but I want to thank you for the time. And again, just say congratulations on the honors. It's wonderful to have you as part of the cybersecurity community, but I'm just so glad that we're able to shine a spotlight on the work you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm just a student, continuously learning every day, trying to contribute something, but I'm so honored that I happen to be in someone else's mind to get nominated, let alone get, chosen as a winner. So I'm incredibly honored and very grateful for that. Thank you so much. Really.
Oh, no, of course. Thank you. Congratulations. And I do ask everyone listening, go on over to scmagazine.com and you can read more about all of our honorees and other content where we do shine a spotlight on the wonderful work that's happening by women in the security community. So thank you for joining us. And again, thank you so much for being here, and more to come.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. I think my kids decided to come. They're making noises.
I hear, that's great. I love it. Thanks so much.